let's face it, no one likes to be interrupted. It's rude, it's disrespectful, and it really disrupts the flow of a conversation that you're having with another person. However, in this video, I'm about to bust a big myth that people tend to have when it comes to them getting interrupted all the time. What if I told you that you are the problem? You are the reason why you face interruptions all the time. In this case, from your patients. You are doing something wrong. And this is not to throw you under the bus, but this is making you aware of a very subconscious error that you might be making from time to time that's getting patients to walk all over you for one reason or another. So in this video, we're going to explore why patients interrupt you all the time, why you may be part of the problem, and what you can do about it as a healthcare professional for them to take you more seriously. To my channel, everybody. Thank you very much for your engagement, support, and presence to this channel and to my LinkedIn brand as well. For those who don't know me, my name is Shweta. I'm the founder of Healthy Dynamics. We are a coaching practice that helps healthcare professionals who are from English as a second language backgrounds, who are either working in an English-speaking setting or country and would like to improve their English language as well as their communication skills, with the ultimate aim of connecting and collaborating better with their patients, building more trust, authority, and influence, building better relationships with them, getting more testimonials and reviews in their favor, and progress in their career rapidly. So I made a few videos in the past about interruptions, and there's an entire playlist on that which I'm going to link in the end of the video. But sometime last month I was listening to an episode of Jay Shetty's podcast where he was interviewing a communication expert by the name of Vin Jiang. He's also Australian, just like me. So I was very interested to see what he was all about. And the interview was absolutely amazing, and I got so many golden nuggets from that interview. I'm going to leave a link to that episode in the description box below, so make sure that you check that out. But Vin and I had so much in common. Not only are we children of immigrant parents and we both are Australian citizens, we also struggled with communication as children. And he also, if you look at him, he is a very dorky looking, very average looking guy where when you see him, it's like there's nothing special about you. But the amount of knowledge and the wealth of knowledge this guy has in communication and how he has developed a branded business by overcoming his own struggles with communication is impeccable. So definitely check him out. I'm happy to leave his social media handles as well. But in this particular episode, he spoke about why people keep interrupting you, focusing on the person who's actually doing or leading the conversation. Now, Mel Robbins, everyone knows who's been following me for a while that Mel Robbins is, again, someone who I absolutely admire and adore. And one of her reels, short reels, again, from one of her past podcast episodes, she talks about why when people are not interested in hearing, when they keep interrupting you, they're not interested in what you have to say. And this is one of the very few times where I will have to absolutely disagree with her. And I'm very much on Vin's side, where his insight was absolutely eye-opening. So I'm going to really cover aspects of that and why when you get interrupted by patients, you may be part of the problem. So let's now go into a very generic set of reasons as to why patients interrupt you. Now, some of these I've covered in my past videos. So this could be things like anxiety and fear. We all know that patients, when they come to a healthcare setting, they're very stressed, they're very nervous, they're very anxious, they are looking for answers, they are vulnerable. And in that sort of state of mind, very unconsciously, they will tend to interrupt you. And that's definitely, a challenge that they have. And there could also be an issue with the language and communication mismatch. So for example, if a healthcare professional, is feeling uncertain, unclear, or overly soft, especially when English is not their first language, patients may feel the need to take over the conversation and interject with their thoughts and really advocating for themselves. Now, what I really wanted to focus on, however, in this video is patients having a perceived lack of authority towards you as a healthcare professional. What I mean by this is the fact that when patients sense that you are not sure of yourself as a healthcare professional, you are not sure of the expertise and the recommendations and the tips and the knowledge that you are giving to the patient, when you are giving away through your body language, through your wording, through the tonality of your voice, to when you're taking too many gaps and pauses intentionally where they can sense that you are unsure, they take this as an opportunity to test your boundaries, take over, and really dismiss your advice. So in this case, I'm not going to apologize, but you are part of the problem. Now, when I have worked as a patient with some healthcare providers in the past, I can specifically think of, say, a GP, for example, who I have had in the past. Again, a GP who, in between, when I was transitioning between different GPs, and I was, again, experimenting with this one particular healthcare professional who was a GP. Tell that this healthcare professional was not very confident about whatever it is that they were, the ways in which they were trying to support me. Even that was questionable. And whilst I may not have gone out of my way to interrupt this particular healthcare professional, I found it very hard to take them seriously. And one of the reasons that can be an absolute game changer, which we will look at later on in the video, is the presence that you have as a healthcare professional and how that really impacts the way that your patients will perceive you, and whether they can trust you as an authority figure, and for them to really take you seriously and respect you as well. Now, we will now look into some of the ways in which you might be accidentally and unconsciously giving away your authority to patients. Now, you could be doing things such as using hesitant phrases when you are not 100% sure. You might be saying things like, I think, maybe, or I'm not sure, or things like that. And I'm not talking about scenarios where you as a healthcare professional are genuinely unaware and unsure of something. And that happens. We're all humans. We're not expected to know everything or be experts. But this is when you are really struggling to get your point across to your patients, whatever the case, for whatever reason. You could also be smiling too much or nodding when a patient is pushing back. So instead of you assertively stating what it is that you expect from them, or what it is that you're looking for, or what you don't find acceptable, you are being compliant and you are just playing along with whatever it is that the patient is putting you through. You're also letting these interruptions slide without gently redirecting the patient. And one of my very early posts on LinkedIn this week talks about why when healthcare professionals try to please patients, it doesn't do anyone any favors or justice. And as an ESL healthcare provider, you might be somewhat embarrassed of your accent or your grammar mistakes, and you are very conscious about not making them so that the people might think, you're worried that your patients might think that you don't speak English very well, and therefore you're not going to be taken seriously. So, and also having a posture that's very slouchy, or not making adequate eye contact, and also not letting commands or signals from your body really display that sense of authority towards your patients. Your patients are subtly picking up all of these signals. Now, even if English is not your first language and your English is not fluent or perfect, it is not going to stop you from really commanding that presence, tone, and structure that you have to project to them in order for you to exert your authority and be taken seriously and be respected for it. So, some of the strategies that I would recommend when it comes to doing in such a way so that your patient has your full attention and they do not use this as an excuse to keep interrupting you. I'm not talking about scenarios where they just feel the need that they're always right and they are doing this to purposely undermine you. I'm putting the focus here on you as a healthcare professional and what you can do in order for your patients to take you seriously and not let them walk over you, or in this case, interrupt you. So some of the things that I would recommend is speak in confident, short, structured sentences. So what a lot of healthcare professionals or people in general, they tend to do when they are unsure of what they're going to say is that they will over-explain, over-apologize, ramble, and so the plot gets lost completely. And instead of that, you might want to say something like, here's what's going on, here's what I have discovered in terms of the observations that I've made, the tests we've done, or anything like that. Here's what we're going to do. Here is what matters. So for example, you could be an endocrinologist who is working with a patient who is going through perimenopause and menopause, and you want to suggest to them that you can absolutely say that, whilst I'm not, that you are very quite new, which is a common challenge that is happening at the moment amongst healthcare professionals, that their knowledge on perimenopause and menopause is fairly limited. What you can do is say that this is what I believe that you are going to be able to do in order for you to navigate through this life change in a better manner, and why it matters. This gives you control and makes the patient feel guided. Use the tone of your voice strategically. Now, you don't have to be loud and brazen and obnoxious and vocal like me, but you have to be grounded in your tone, or your tone has to be grounded. So slowing down, pausing intentionally, using a firm but friendly vocal energy and tonality will absolutely make a huge difference. And at the same time, setting gentle boundaries includes things like slowing down, pausing intentionally, and using a firm, assertive, but friendly vocal energy. So if, for example, you might be a therapist or psychiatrist and you're working with patients who are emotionally very heightened and do not have the skills to regulate their emotions, and they may constantly make it a habit to interrupt you in a situation like that, it would be very beneficial for you to say to them, I want to make sure that I have explained this fully and thoroughly before we move on. I promise I'll answer any questions right after. And that can happen if they are not really clear about what sort of treatment or medication that you are recommending to them. Or you can also say something like, hold that thought, it's important. Let me finish this point before we move on to the next, so that we don't miss anything vital. And finally, use body language that commands and supports authority. Now, this could include things like standing and sitting tall with your chest protruding out, making sure that your posture is open but still tall and quite firm and confident, calming hand gestures, and holding eye contact with warmth and not intimidation. Now, just sort of before concluding this video, what Vin Jiang specifically said in this podcast was a challenge that quite commonly that he has heard from his clients is that they say to him that people keep interrupting me. Not only do they not listen to my ideas, they interrupt me, and then when that thought was in my mind, I have missed it, and I'm now made to suddenly feel invisible, or I feel invisible that way. And the reason is that he really recommends, or his perspective why people do this is because of vocal and physical presence. So vocal and physical presence is absolutely vital. And when people are in situations that they, in this case as a healthcare professional, if you're the one who keeps getting interrupted, it's because one or both of them is quite low. Large, bold and strong volume of how you're speaking, as well as again, sort of aligning that with your physical body language. If you do both of them actually command their attention as opposed to just demand it, or if you feel that you need to water down and your perspective or your ideas or things like that, it will just give patients the opportunity to keep interrupting you. Your volume and your physical body presence, and so both of these things are very, very vital in order for you to command that authority and that respect, and not to be interrupted and be taken seriously by your patients. So just to conclude this video, I would highly recommend doing a 60-second authority exercise prior to next time you see doing a consultation with a patient. And this takes a lot of time and a lot of practice, especially if English is not your first language, and you also have a lot of the things culturally that you've been taught when it comes to working with patients that may really hold you back. So in this exercise, record yourself explaining a treatment plan to a patient. Use a phone or a camera just like I am, and focus on one or all of these things. You can do this one at a time on any day, or you can do all of them on the same video. So pausing, tonality, avoiding fillers and strong opening and endings, as well as having vocal as well as physical presence. Do this every day for 1 week and you will feel a shift in your physical presence, your voice, and your patient's reactions. So just to conclude, being respected doesn't mean being harsh. Being an authority figure, in this case as a healthcare professional, doesn't mean that you are being cold. And you don't need perfect English or flawless English to command attention and respect from your patients and to that you're taken seriously. You need clarity, presence, and the willingness and the determination to take up space. So next time when a patient interrupts you, reflect on what it is that you might not be doing correctly. Pause, breathe, and take your space back, because your voice, your expertise, your knowledge, and your authority matters. And your patients need you to lead, not just speak. If you want to stay tuned for more updates and videos that I do every week on different communication strategies that you can incorporate as healthcare professionals to connect better with your patients and get the respect and credibility that you deserve, make sure that you hit the subscribe button on my channel and the notification bell. Leave your thoughts and comments down in the comment section below. And as always, thank you very much for your time, attention, and presence, and I shall see you next week.